Well, hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, I'm so glad that you clicked on this video. My name is Blair Lamb and I make videos about all the different parts of my life. And this is actually the first video I'm filming about my third pregnancy. I am so excited. It probably will not be the first video that you see about my third pregnancy, but it is the first one that I am filming. And that is so crazy. I'm just about 5 weeks right now, so it is still very early. And I'm feeling very, very pregnant already, much more pregnant than I did in either of my previous 2 pregnancies, which is really interesting, but also very exciting. The previous 2 times that I found out I was pregnant, I was mostly surprised. Both times we were trying to get pregnant and we wanted to get pregnant, but I still did not know before I took a test that I was for sure. This time I took this test. You see it? It is a definite positive test, and I knew before I took this test, I was certain that I was pregnant. I absolutely was sure that I was pregnant this time. So I'm going to talk to you about some of the symptoms I had during my 2-week wait. It was actually less than 2 weeks because I took this at 11 days post-ovulation. So it was actually pretty early. It's the earliest I've ever gotten a positive test, and as you can see, the line is pretty dark. So I don't know yet if there's more than one baby in my belly. It would not totally shock me if I'm being honest, because these symptoms are wild. They are so much stronger and more full force than my previous 2 pregnancies, where I don't feel like I started noticing these kinds of symptoms until a little bit later. Even during my 2-week wait, I just knew I was pregnant. I felt so pregnant. So I'm going to talk to you about what I noticed and how I knew I was pregnant even before I took the test. Of course, the only way to know that you're pregnant for sure is to take a test, get blood work, an ultrasound, all that to confirm it. But I think sometimes you just know, and that was the case this time for me. The difficult thing about guessing that you're pregnant during your 2-week wait is that also you could be 2-week waiting to get a positive pregnancy test, or you could be 2-week waiting to get your period. And there are a lot of overlap in symptoms in both of those outcomes. So some of these things in the very early days, I was thinking, like I say very early days, I got a positive test at 11 days DPO, but the first few days after ovulation, I was thinking maybe I'm just about to get my period, but it was only a few days of that, and then I was sure because it felt differently. So first of all, I had a lot of cramping, and that's of course really normal when you're expecting your period, but it was a different feeling of cramping. Instead of it being really in my uterus, it was wrapping around my back and also down the fronts of my legs, which is exactly what it feels like when I am in labor. I've had 2 unmedicated births, so I am very well versed in what it feels like when my body is in labor, and that's what it feels like. Obviously I wasn't in labor, but it just was a very pregnancy adjacent feeling to me, that it wasn't just like cramping, it was going down my legs. I'm already starting to get out of breath. This is about to be a crazy 9 months. So it would just be, I could just feel that tingling, shooting, cramping sensation down the front of my legs. So that was a huge exclamation point in my mind that something was different and that I wasn't about to get my period. The next symptom that also could totally be period related, but it felt differently for me, was breast tenderness. So before I get my period, my breasts will be a little bit tender, feel a little bit heavy, but this was much more significant. They felt like painfully tender, like putting on a shirt or standing under the stream of a shower. I was like, oh, it hurts. And that is not typical for me when I am awaiting my cycle to start. So I thought, there's another mark. So those were the 2 symptoms, the cramping, even though it was a different type of cramping, and the breast tenderness, even though it was a different type of breast tenderness, that I still was able to sort of write off. But then these next 4 symptoms I just knew. I was just super sure that I was going to get a positive test, and I very excitedly did. So the next one is that I just looked really, really pregnant. I always bloat. I bloat all the time, but I always bloat before my period, but it was much more significant bloating than normal, to the point where my almost 6-year-old daughter told me that I looked like I had a baby in my belly. I actually she said it to me, and I was holding my phone. I was walking through the house holding my phone, and she said, "Mom, you look like you have a baby in your belly." And so I quickly turned on the video and I said, "What did you just say?" And she said it again. So I'll play that clip here.
Okay. It looks like you have a baby in your tummy. Because it kind of is big. And this looks big a little bit.
Oh. Do you want me to?
Yeah.
Well.
Baby girl.
You want a girl? Oops, sorry.
Yeah.
I had been feeling that day I just felt like I did look indeed like I had a baby in my belly, but I thought I'm probably just having a really intense period and I'm just really badly bloated. But she has never once said that to me before. And she still doesn't know. Neither of my children know. We're going to wait just a little bit of time. Like I said, I'm just 5 weeks. So I feel like I just want to give a little bit more time. And I'm thinking maybe like after we get some ultrasound pictures or something to show them would be a little bit better. But it was just a lot more bloating concentrated in the uterus area. Like when I'm about to get my period, I feel like my whole digestive system just feels bloated, like my whole abdomen. And this just felt like very much like uterine bloating. It felt different to me. It looked different to me. And apparently it looked different to Nora as well, my daughter. This one is so funny. But when I was pregnant the other 2 times, I always craved Nesquik powder, like the chocolate Nesquik powder that you just mix into milk and then you drink it and it becomes chocolate milk. It's a very weird craving that I had throughout both of my other pregnancies, and I struggled with nausea so badly both times, so I could hardly keep anything down, but I could drink a glass of milk with the Nesquik powder in it. And so my husband goes to the grocery store every single Friday on his way home from work to pick up things for the weekend. It's just a part of our family routine. And he always texts me when he's on his way and says, hey, do you want me to grab anything from the grocery store? And usually it's like, yeah, we need more eggs. We need some vegetables for dinner tonight, whatever. And I said, can you get me some chocolate Nesquik powder, because I had not been able to stop thinking about it the whole day. And he was like, sure. And I was like thinking to myself, that's such a weird thing to want. But I was sort of in denial, and I'm like, well, I'm about to get my period. It's probably just like a weird craving. But when I got home, Riley like looked at me, my husband, and he was like, this is a very pregnant craving. And I was like, I know, but like, surely not. We only just stopped preventing like very recently. So we got pregnant very, very quickly, which is a huge gift and a huge blessing, but also surprising that it was so fast. It's been 5 years since I've been pregnant, so I really had no idea what to expect. So anyway, the chocolate Nesquik powder was a red flag or a green flag. You know, I was like, that's a weird thing to crave. I have not had it since I was pregnant with my son, like I said, 5 years ago. The next symptom I had that alerted me to the fact that I was most likely pregnant was that I was sleeping so heavy. I am historically not a great sleeper. I think I used to be a pretty good sleeper, but ever since I got pregnant with my daughter in January of 2019, for all these months since January of 2019, I would not describe myself as a good sleeper. I'm up a lot during the night. I toss and turn. I read books and books and books all through the night, every night. I'm not a heavy sleeper. And I was sleeping so heavy during this 2-week wait. I would fall asleep, and then in the morning when my alarm would go off, which I am always awake before my alarm. I mean, always awake before my alarm. The alarm would go off and I would be in complete REM sleep, having vivid dreams and just in a very, very deep state of sleep, which is very unusual for me. And so I would wake up and think, how weird. And I remember telling Riley, I just was so sound asleep. I was so asleep. And again, that's really unusual for me. Definitely unusual for me right before my period. I might be more sleepy or tired or just wanting to be kind of more insular and cozy, but I definitely always wake up before my alarm, and I very rarely am awoken in the morning out of like a dead sleep. It just doesn't happen. One morning I was so sound asleep that Riley got fully ready for work, took a shower. He wasn't even being quiet because I think he probably thought I was awake and just kind of taking a lazy morning. And he was leaving for work and he went to kiss me goodbye, and I startled, and he was like, it's almost 9 o'clock. And I never wake up that late. I'm usually up around 6:30. So it was very unusual that the heaviness that I was sleeping was definitely an alert to me. I'm probably pregnant. This is very unusual behavior. And the last thing, and the symptom that convinced me the most before I got a positive test that I was pregnant, was that I felt pregnant. I've now had the beautiful experience of being pregnant 2 different times, and there is a very distinct feeling of being pregnant. To me, in the early months before you really have a big belly and there's a bigger baby inside of you, to me, in those earlier months, it has always felt like someone took one of those little small bowling balls and it's lodged in your pelvis. And it just feels when you move your body, there's a bowling ball that your body's moving around. And it just feels like there's this hard, firm object like lodged in my abdomen. That's what it's felt like both times. And I always say it just feels like I have a bowling ball in there when I'm moving. I can feel it right now. It's this like leaden feeling in my uterus. And the night before I took the test in the morning, I was chatting with one of my friends late into the night, and we were sitting on her porch and we were just chatting. And I was sitting there and she asked me, we had talked about all kinds of things. And towards the end of our conversation, she said, "Are you guys still thinking about going for a 3rd baby?" And I said, "Yes, we are." And in that, I didn't say anything to her, but in that moment I thought, I'm pregnant now. I know that I'm pregnant right now. And sure enough, the next morning I peed on the stick, and before I even finished and like put the cap on, I already had 2 lines. And like, I was still pretty early. I was only 11 days post-ovulation, and I know my cycle very, very well. Which is why I said at the beginning of this video, there is a little part of me that's wondering, either this baby just came in full force, or maybe there's more than one baby. I can't let myself drift there too much yet. We just need to get through the next few weeks, and we will see what the Lord has in store for our family. But it has been amazing to me, the symptoms just coming into my world like a freight train. Like, I just felt so pregnant right from the jump. And I don't remember feeling like that with the other 2. In fact, I know that I didn't, because I didn't even get positive tests until cycle day 30 with my other 2 children. And on this cycle, I got a pregnancy test, a positive pregnancy test, more than a week earlier than that. So it's just been really different so far. It's just been really different. And the fact that I'm already feeling all of these things, I'm not in any way uncomfortable. I'm not miserable. I'm really doing great. I just feel really pregnant. It's a very bizarre feeling. And I felt really pregnant at 3 weeks pregnant before I even got this test. So I'm feeling really grateful and excited and all of that. But I hope this is helpful if you are in your 2-week wait. If any of this resonates with you, I would love to hear what your first pregnancy symptom was before you got your positive test. If there was anything that just stood out to you, like the Nesquik milk, or feeling like a bowling ball was lodged in your abdomen, or sleeping wildly deeply when normally you are not a heavy sleeper. I would love to hear which of those things resonates with you. Make sure that you subscribe if you would like to hear more about this pregnancy and all of the parts of it. I am planning on filming quite a lot. I have a lot of ideas, and I'm just excited to share, especially as a 3rd-time mom. I really am out of breath. I told one of my friends I was pregnant today, and I hadn't told her yet, obviously, and she said, "I figured you were. You are so out of breath." And I was like, oh my gosh, how am I out of breath? I'm 5 weeks pregnant. I will say, twins run in my family. My maternal grandmother, her 3rd pregnancy was a set of twins. My mom's sisters are twins. And this will be my 3rd pregnancy. That doesn't make any difference. But on my maternal side, twins do run in the family, and they are fraternal twins. So that is a genetic passing on. We will see. I don't even know how to feel about that. Like I said, I can't really go there yet. I just need to continue taking care of myself and my family, and we'll just see where we go. But it's been wild. These symptoms have been intense right from the jump, to the point where I was absolutely sure that I was pregnant before I even took the test. And like I said, I hadn't even finished taking the test, and the line was immediately super dark. So then I took another test that was, I took an early test. That was this one. It's like an early response. And then I took one of the little thin, it's like a little tiny strip. I took one of those, which you should not get a positive test until after you've already missed your period, like a few days after. They're just less sensitive. And that one, immediately I got a dark line too. So I'm like, okay, I'm definitely pregnant. And we will find out all the details of that in the weeks and days to come. So thank you so much for watching. Would love to hear what your first symptoms were during your 2-week wait before you even knew you were pregnant. And I will see you guys in the next one. Lots more pregnancy content to come. If you like this kind of thing, like I said, make sure that you subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you'll take a second to check out my online shop, blairlambdesign.com. I launch new designs seasonally, and we're adding new things all the time. And I would love for you to just go and take a look at the tees and sweatshirts that we have, jewelry, candles, and all kinds of other fun accessories. So make sure to head over there. There is always a link below, or you can head directly to blairlambdesign.com.